The topic of mental health is extremely important for me personally. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about mental health because it's really a conversation that we need to have. And it's a conversation that we as Americans and we as Texans, more particularly us as men, tend to avoid. You know, I've had the opportunity a lot in my life to be around some pretty high level, top performers, really top ranked people, whether it's in motorsports or business or academia, whatever it is. And a lot of times you see us sharing in that success, you see us sharing the good times. But the reality of it is there's also a lot of low times, and those low times can be incredibly unhealthy and unproductive for us, especially when they're a prolonged low, right? So with mental health, I think it's really important that we address it, that we talk about it, that we acknowledge it, and that we stop trying to cover it up. Is just pull your boots up, get to work. Well, like I say, when it comes to mental health, we have this mentality of, well, just pull yourself up by the bootstraps, get to work, let's go. And a lot of times that just doesn't always work. And I take my role as a media personality, someone leading a global media company and taking charge here in a very competitive industry. You see this one side of us, but like I say, there are lows, and we all have to deal with those lows. I myself struggle with that from time to time as well. I don't hide from it. I don't pretend like everything is well 100% of the time. One of the things that I do is I meet with a therapist pretty regularly. I enjoy my time with my therapist. She and I are very close. We talk quite a bit. We share ideas. I learn a lot. Cognitive behavioral therapy is really, really good for me to understand how my mind works. I'm absolutely fascinated by this. And here's the way I look at it. If my tooth hurts, I go to a dentist. If I'm sick, I go to a doctor. Why wouldn't I treat my mental health the same way? Mental health is directly related to our performance. If we are performing at a very top level, we're able to compete at a very top level, we're able to do a lot of tasks, accomplish a lot of things, and do them at a very, very high level. It's directly related to our mental health performance. I believe that there's a perfect balance. If you study this stuff a little bit, you understand Yerkes-Dodson, which is a study from 1908 that relates performance versus pressure. Performance and pressure are very closely related. Too little pressure, you get nothing done. Too much pressure, you break. The idea is to keep it right here in the optimal level. And that's kind of where we aim to keep ourselves as long as we possibly can. And it's very difficult to keep that up 52 weeks out of the year. Very difficult. Some of the coping mechanisms that I use is, like I say, I visit with a therapist quite regularly. I study cognitive behavioral therapy to understand myself a little bit better and to be able to perform at such a high level, be able to put out content as frequently as I do, being able to deal with the negative comments, the trolls. You just have to understand that these things are there, and sometimes what the things that people say, they're very hurtful, and you realize it's probably just somebody living in their mom's basement spouting off, or a guy having a few too many beers in the evening or whatever. You just realize, and he sees something that he doesn't like on Facebook and or Instagram or YouTube or whatever, and he just pops something off, to make himself feel better. You tend to just have to ignore those kind of things. But regardless, they still bother you and they still try to get under your skin. And this is where learning how to effectively manage those emotions really comes into play. Some of the things that I use to de-stress and to cope with such a high-stress lifestyle, I love learning. I love learning new things. I love sports, of course. But I love taking on a challenge. I love learning new things, doing new things. And you would think that somebody like myself, who's a bigger guy, I'm the butt of a lot of fat jokes, stuff like this, right? You would think that, I would often probably just kind of hide in my room and not do things and not put myself out there for the world to see or whatever. I don't really care. It doesn't really bother me too much because I know what these people are. But for me, I feel like I'm learning something. I'm constantly learning a new skill, whether it's editing, whether it's filming, whether it's cinematography, whatever it is, I'm constantly learning something new. And I find for myself that constantly learning something new, doing something different, something that requires 100% focus and my 100% dedication and ability is really important for me to de-stress and cope and deal with the problems. Well, mental health oftentimes is seen, like I say, as a stigma, right? I mean, especially amongst us men, we tend to think that mental health is not an issue. And it really is. And if you're just trying to deny this and just keep telling yourself, well, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, that's what everybody else has done over these years, you're just hiding from it. It's just ignorant to think this way. And I think it's a horrible way to think. We need to overcome that. There are people out there that will tell you that you're causing this yourself. They're all experts in mental health. And the truth is, not one thing works for everybody. It's not one size fits all, like these caps that we get here, it's not one size fits most. It's a very individual process. It's a very individual journey that we're all on when it comes to mental health. And I think that you have to find what works for you. Maybe it's Zen meditation, maybe it's, reading a book, going to a coffee shop, whatever it is that works for you, going fishing, going camping, going hiking, outdoor activities, all these different things. That stuff is great. But at the end of the day, you have to find what works for you. And if you need to seek professional help, there's ways out there that you can do that. And professional help is certainly an option, and I recommend it for anybody who's dealing with these stressful environments. It doesn't matter whether you're a YouTube creator, whether you're a journalist, whether you're working out in the oil patch, whether you're a rancher, whether you're a sports person. It doesn't matter what you are or where you come from. It just matters that you get help and acknowledge that there's a problem. And I think that as we look at mental health, especially here in Texas, where mental health is sometimes very difficult to come by, you have to find solutions. And there's a lot of solutions to meet with a therapist online. You can meet with a therapist in person if you are lucky enough to be able to get an appointment, because there's just not enough of them to go around. Whatever it is that you do it. And make sure that you follow through with it, because mental health is really important. And if you want to be able to perform at the very top level, at the highest level that you possibly can, definitely seeking that coach, seeking that therapist, seeking that psychiatrist, whatever it is that you need, seeking that out and getting the help. It's incredible. It's life-changing. So I want to be able to use my platform to some extent, like I say, as a YouTube creator, as a journalist, as a filmmaker, to be able to destigmatize mental health issues, especially for men, and especially for people living here in Texas. I think that all too often, people here in Texas, in the Mountain West and in the South, sometimes we tend to look at mental health as a sign of weakness. It's only a weakness is we let it control us. And that's an absolute fact. And we need to break this stereotype, break this stigma, Have conversations about our mental health. Realize that Yerkes-Dodson, performance versus pressure, is a real thing, and seek out people who can help us understand these things. I'm journalist Matt Pierce. I'm a YouTube blogger, I'm a journalist, I'm a photographer, and I lead a media company here in Texas. I also suffer from mental health issues. I'm controlling it. Break the stigma. Admit that you have a problem and seek qualified help. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And let's break the stigma of mental health. Not around the world, not in our own neighborhood, but within ourselves.